Hello, everyone out there, and welcome to Catherine's Low Income Prepping / Survival. And this is episode 31. Now, I want to talk to you today about guns and about gun laws and about a few things about my own personal beliefs and stuff. So I wouldn't hold this. Oh, and by the way, I've got a little bit of a mark here. No, I didn't get hit or anything, but I have a bad tooth that got infected, and I rubbed it, and I made a mark because they got me on these blood pills or heart pills that cause me to bruise easy, I guess, along with the aspirin I take. So, welcome, and let's talk about this. You know, there's lots of channels out there, and they talk about all the different things that are going on and what they believe and what there's. I believe there's three things going on. One is there's a certain group of people out there that don't want anyone to have guns, and they think that if the police only have guns and if the army only has guns, well, everything will be wonderful. But all you got to do is look at other countries where the citizens are not allowed to own guns, and they have rampant crime. Crime goes up because then the citizens don't have any way to protect themselves. And, and if you, in some countries, like I say, the UK, Canada, in some places, they don't want you to have knives over a certain size. They don't want you to have this and that. And heaven forbid if you spray somebody with bear spray or hornet spray. I mean, when they take away all your weapons, you got to improvise. So anyhow, I think it's really important that we maintain. We are one of the few countries in the world that have a Second Amendment. And the Second Amendment wasn't put there for decoration. It was put there so that people would be able to keep their first, their third, their fourth, and so on through the Bill of Rights. And if you all don't get that, you lefties, you extreme righties, you middle of the roads, you're gonna wake up one day and go, oh, what happened? If you don't like guns, maybe you should live in an area of the country where they don't like guns. Like California, Connecticut, New York, places like that. Now, I know there are people there who like guns, but let's just be truthful about it. If you really like guns that much there, you would be out there changing the law so that people didn't limit what you owned. You also wouldn't elect some of these politicians that are in office. The politicians that are in office are the problem. Don't vote just because you're a Democrat. Just because you're a Democrat doesn't make you right or good. Just because you're a Republican doesn't make you right or make you good. So, come on, people. Why don't we just start taking care of things? The other thing is about prepping channels, too. Quit showing things that you might not want them to know that you're doing. Quit showing them things that you don't want people to know that you have. And definitely don't do illegal things and make a movie about it. I was watching a video the other day, and the guy takes off the brace, puts it back on, takes off the brace, puts it back on. It's just ridiculous, It's definitely breaking the law. I don't know. I would assume he is, since right now we're not supposed to do that, except for if you belong to 3 certain groups. And that was really nice of those organizations just to worry about their own people who are paying them. Again, there's lots of things going on in the prepping community that are so totally wrong. One is there's preppers out there that want to take advantage of other preppers. And that's got to do with ammunition. There's a guy that has a video out there where he talks about how he buys ammo and keeps it for people in the warehouse, and you can get it anytime you want it. But, if you don't have it with you, you're not going to have it. So you might want to just figure out other places to keep your ammo and not just in one place. That's what we ultimately intend to do. If there's a EMP or if there's a gas shortage, or there's other things, nobody's going to be delivering anything. No one's going to be bringing you any of your ammo. And if a war starts, they'll probably say, hey, you can't transport that ammo out of the warehouse. We're going to confiscate it. So if you don't have it in your house, or you don't have it like in some private storage or some private places, then you're going to have problems, because it's just the way our society is. There's a lot of Karens out there. The Karens that will tell you what you can't do. You know, when I was growing up, I used to go hunting with the 22 single shot. I had a Crosman pump 177/BB rifle. I had a 22 pump air rifle, and then I had a 22 single shot. And even though I was 8 years old, I knew not to shoot it at people. I had responsibility. I had to take care of animals on our farm. I had to take care of things. I was taught responsibility. All right, so, you know, it's not an age thing, as some people talk about with guns. It's really not. But anyhow, now there's places like, you know, they don't want you to have this, they don't want you to have that. Washington State, you supposedly cannot buy AR-15s now. I don't know if that's true. I haven't been back there in a while. I used to live there. Now I live in Georgia. But they don't want you to buy parts to fix them. And you can't buy magazines over a certain size. So, I mean, and I think that's curing the thing. Most of that stuff that's bought is bought by law-abiding citizens. I would say 98% of it. Not just by criminals. Maybe a small percentage. Most criminals are going and buying out of the back of a car, or a guy that stands on a street corner opens his coat up like in the old movies. You know, hey, I got what you need. You know, our society has a lot of problems. One of the problems is mental health. We need a way to monitor people with mental health, people who want to hurt other people for no reason whatsoever. There's nothing wrong with defending yourself. You have a right to defend yourself. It's a God-given right, even though I don't necessarily believe in God. People don't have a right to tell you can't defend yourself. You know, even animals defend themselves. And we even take that right away from some animals. If some people beat on dogs or beat on other animals and they hurt the person, the first thing we want to do is kill the animal. Why don't we charge the person with cruelty to animals? Why don't we take care of those things? Okay, excuse me. My nose is itching today. So let's get back to guns. So I don't believe I'm going to have to fight a war against anyone, but I also wanted some semi-automatic weapon. And an AR-15 means Armalite rifle, and it's 15. So got a couple. But because of what happened in Washington, where they reduced the magazines and stuff, we went out and they came with, of course, 30-round mags, which is what most of them come with. Some come with 20 rounds. But we went out and we bought some 10-round mags, because in most states they want you to have 10 or 5-round mags to hunt with. So I bought 8 of these. We're going to buy a few more. I figure 12 ought to be more than enough. That gives us 5 each. And plus we got the 30-round mags that came with the guns. You know, which if they say you can't use them, well, then they'll have to be put away. You know. And I believe when you buy something, the government cannot come to you and say, we're going to do a buyback. First of all, they didn't buy it in the first place, okay? Second of all, it's your constitutional right to have the guns, to have the magazines. But if you want to play by the rules that the government is illegally putting in place, 10-round magazines, people. There's nothing wrong with having them, you know, and the 5-round magazines, which I'm going to buy a bunch of them. And the reason I'm doing that is not to bend a knee to these people, but to make sure that I actually have something I can use when they say you can't use the 30-round mags. And then I noticed in Washington, after they did the 30-round mags, so we got a few of these, and they're P mags, they got the dust cap on the top. Also picked up a light rail for the side. Now I got to get a light for it. Anyhow, since I'm low budget, we bought probably the cheapest way to buy the guns in the first place. I got my hunting rifle. I got my lifetime hunting license. Now I need to be able to go out and do that. So I'm going to set my weapons up, and then hopefully next year we're going to be able to do a little bit of shooting to get proficient with them. I mean, I've shot guns all my life, but I'm saying is I would like to show my friend how to do that, and so that we can take care of ourselves. Because, there could be a war, there could be an EMP, there could be other things. So we need to buy some hunting ammo, because mainly it's going to be for deer and bear and larger animals, and some varmint ammo for the smaller animals. And, of course, we've got 22 long rifle for the smaller animals. So we're covered, and I got 12-gauge shotgun and all that stuff, so that's all fine. But anyhow, this rail here goes on the side of an M-lock. They got key lock and M-lock and whatever. They got the Picatinny rails. Well, this is a Picatinny rail, and it goes on the M-lock. So this is for the flashlight for my weapon. Anyhow, so after they moved it down to 10 rounds, then all of a sudden they said, well, we want to stop you from being able to buy AR-15s and 10s in the state of Washington. And they weren't satisfied with that. So everyone before got grandfathered in. Everything's cool and dandy until they decided to take that right away. But they also decided what they're going to do is you're not going to be able to get parts. You're not going to be able to get repair kits and parts. You won't be able to take your gun down and get it fixed by a legal gunsmith. Okay, people, come on. I realize that you don't want people to have them. Mr. Government, Mrs. Government, Mrs. Karen, Mr. Karen, But how about leaving people alone? If you want to be a Christian, be a Christian. If you want to be a Muslim, be a Muslim. If you don't want to be religious, don't be religious. But don't tell me what to do. You don't like guns, don't buy them. And yeah, terrible things happen in the world, but let's take care of the mental health aspect of that. People are people. We're all basically animals. We're animals that are smart, and we live in a tight community. And, that can cause friction. You put a lot of rats in a cage, and they'll start eating each other. Well, what is a city but a big cage? So anyhow, just remember that, and I don't know what to say. Keep buying your guns for, at least a shotgun, a 22, maybe a 22 pistol, a sidearm, and some type of semi-automatic defensive weapon. It's a defensive weapon. It's not a military weapon. AR-15s are semi-automatic. I was in the Army. I know. M16s, and I worked in security for a long portion of my life. M16s are fully automatic and select fire. There's a big difference between them and the ARs. There's no difference between a gun that doesn't have a pistol grip or a flash hider that's semi-automatic and a gun that's semi-automatic that looks like a sporting rifle. They're the same. It's just the size of the magazine. So you can buy 5 and 10 round magazines for an AR. So they shouldn't be outlawing the AR. They shouldn't be outlawing the AK, because you can buy 5 and 10 round magazines for the AK. You just need to take care of the mental problems. You need to house the people. Quit letting all these people into our country. Why don't we just start housing the homeless? Why don't we instead of spending money on the nuclear bombs and new aircraft carriers and stuff like that, why don't we not make a couple of those things, and then we can house the homeless? Don't make programs that you expect the homeless to jump through a hoop. They're not going to do that. You take care of a lot of those problems and then work on the drug problems. Put the drug addicts in jail. Put them into treatment. Put the drug dealers in prison forever. There you go. And goodbye.